And welcome to Gulfstream Park West. Ron Nicoletti along with Katie Stazak. We're here for our fall campaign at Gulfstream Park West, Katie.
The second annual Fall Turf Festival here at Gulfstream Park West. Happy opening day, Ron. I'm excited to be here and especially to watch these horses and use this turf course over here. It looks fantastic.
And we got a great day, beautiful weather. We got a fast-made track. We got a firm turf course. And we got some exciting wagers we want to tell you about real quickly here. You see we have an early pick 5 now, which starts in race number 1. And a new exciting wager, a rolling super high 5 each and every race, carries over each and every race. We'll be telling you more about that throughout the afternoon. And the final race each and every day, a $5 quinela. So it should be a lot of fun. Not only a lot of good turf racing, like you said, at the Turf Festival, but a lot of exciting bets. And, of course, we have the Rainbow Six that we have each and every day. And when we have a 10-race card, it starts in race number 5. We're starting anew. No carryovers to talk about. A new day. So we have all our usual exciting wagers, but we have all those 3 great new wagers. And that is the early pick 5, which you have to jump in right away. And it's mandatory payout every day, along with the rolling super high 5s and the quinela in the last race. I like saying quinela.
That's one of my favorite bets.
Yeah, so we'll see how that plays out throughout the afternoon. Before we get into our Wednesday card here, we're going to take a look and see what's tweeting around the country. And the first one we want to talk about is a pretty nice horse here, and that is Golden Horn. Really impressive, winning the Prix d'Arc de Triomphe.
The Arc, the signature race over in Europe, what a race it was to watch, and Golden Horn was very, very impressive. He's arrived at the top of the world rankings with American Pharoah all year, and it looks like he might come over to contest the Breeders' Cup Turf. That would be sensational.
And Todd Pletcher is back for his fall campaign here at Gulfstream Park West, and of course he will be at the championship meet at Gulfstream Park, and a couple of horses he has working.
He'll also be at the Breeders' Cup. Yeah. Here are some of those tuning up, including Liam's Map, who started his sensational year that he's had right here in South Florida, where he won the Harlan's Holiday at Gulfstream. We also have Rachel's Valentina, that you see how impressive is she, a daughter of Rachel's Alexandra, both working up for the big day at the end of the month. And, of course, we'll be having and showing all of those races right here at Gulfstream Park West.
Yeah, Gulfstream Park West, and especially over at Gulfstream Park, they're going to have a big day over there right across town where you can go and watch and wager on all those Breeders' Cup races. What a year it is for the Breeders' Cup. First year at Keeneland. What else is tweeting out there, Katie?
Well, Golden Lad, this is great. We talk about our sister tracks of Pimlico and Laurel up in Maryland. Golden Lad, one of my favorite runners, a 4-time stakes winner, a 2-time graded stakes winner. He was picked up by Northview Stud up in Maryland, and I think he is a tremendous addition to the Maryland breeding program.
Well, that is what's tweeting around the country. Now we're going to get into our opening day card here at Gulfstream Park West. And what better way to start it than with a 5-furlong turf race for claimers, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, non-winners of 3 races in life or 3-year-olds. And we do have a scratch of the main track only participant in here, and that is Flash Jack, the number 9 horse. You see it on your screen right now. Katie, a really tough race to handicap, and both you and I, went with the number 2, and that's Oxy Diane.
In typical fashion, when it's a tough race to handicap, we settle on the same horse. But I think this one makes complete sense here. This 4-year-old cutting her tag in half today, also halves the distance of our last race for trainer Marco Fernandez. Broke poorly and was never involved when going a mile against $16,000 claimers on September 20th. But 2 starts back, 3rd at that level. I think she should sit a perfect stalking trip.
Yeah, I agree with the stalking trip in there, because I was looking, and the speed in here seems to be a little suspect. And this one looks like it's going to sit a really good trip in our opening race. And up on the board at 10-1. I don't know how long that'll last. Currently up there at 9-2, but very early in the wagering. Number 7, June Flower, for me, second. Really a solid 5 for 7 in the money at this distance. 7 races with 3 wins and 2 seconds. Drops out of the same race as the horse we were just talking about. Expected to show more in a second race back from a 7-week freshening. The trainer is Mohamed Jaladi, and he's got Ani Fontanez in the saddle, Katie. Used the number 5 in second, and that's just Call Me Money.
From the Wesley Ward barn, difficult to go against with Wesley Ward in turf sprints. Turning back to this distance after 2 races, going 7.5 furlongs. Did not run all that great 2 starts back, but 2 starts back rather. She was much better Last time out didn't run all that great, but was just a neck behind Rose Graciela 2 back, who that day won her 3rd straight.
Well, we talked about this horse the other day, and we talk about the speed in this opening event. And that horse is number 6, Wove, or W-O-V, who set the pace in weak and late to finish 3rd against Better. It was on Saturday. It was just a few days ago. Katie and I said, I wonder if this horse is going to come back in. It's going to run today. Wheels back, as I mentioned, with their 4 days rest, with the speed needed to make every call a winning one in this spot. The obvious concern is the short turnaround in here, but this horse, if he gets loose on the lead, can be very dangerous. I know both you and I were going with a horse that might start, because this horse, returning in 4 days, is sort of unknown.
Absolutely. That's why I did not put Wolf on my ticket, and I certainly would not take her at the even money that she's showing right now, but she definitely figures in this race if she can continue to hold her form off that short rest.
Well, the first race at Gulfstream Park West, always a battle between speed stalkers, and maybe it'll be the closer that wins that first race. Let's go to race number 2 this afternoon. We're going to a fast main track. It's a 6 furlong event, and these are maiden claimers, 3-year-olds and up. $20,000 down to $16,000. There'll be 7 runners in this field with no scratches or jockey changes report. Katie, we got a couple of horses here flip-flopped. I have the 2 in second. You have it right on top, and that is Audible.
I think this horse is just so consistent, has yet to run a bad race for trainer David Casson. He's hit the board in all 3 career starts. Most recently caught up in a bit of a speed duel, faded to 3rd at the $35,000 maiden claiming level, takes a slight drop from that level today, although he is again going to face the horse run that you put on top, Philoctetes, who was part of that pace that day and should be again today.
Yeah, dropping to this $20,000 level I like, turning back to 3/4 of a mile, recovered, had a bit of a stumbling incident at the start of that race, duel for the lead, weak and late to finish 2nd, was against $35,000 maidens going 7 furlongs. I'm a forgiving sort that stumble at the start. We'll see if number 5 can get the job done today. We both have the number 2, Audible. You went with the 3 horse in second, and that's El Gran Gallego, who I have in 3rd.
Yeah, you also used him. I think this is a horse that is just on the rise. He has literally improved with every start he's made for trainer Alejandro Maimo, and produced a career best 2nd last time out when going 5.5 furlongs. He should sit just off the pace, and I think he might be the one to capitalize if things get too quick on the front end.
Well, we got an early pick 5 now. Is this the type of race where it looks like you have to go 2 or 3 deep in this race?
Absolutely.
So first 2 races, I think you have to go deep. Maybe you'll find the single a little later on, and it might come in race number 3, which is another 6 furlong sprint. These are maiden claimers, 3-year-olds and upward. They're going to run for a $10,000 tag. Katie, it looks like number 7, Abandoned Ship, might be the way to go in this spot.
I really think he can build off of his last race. I thought that was a very encouraging performance. He really responded to a turn back from a mile, showed more speed, got hooked up in a bit of a duel, faded to 3rd, but it was the first time he had even hit the board in his career. So 2nd start back off almost a 2-month layoff, 2nd start for the Vitali barn. He's always done better with his horses as they start running more. He gets them into that program. They run pretty consistently. I think he's a horse to beat.
Yeah, Matthew Rispoli, they came down and they were gangbusters the first couple of days. They won a couple of stakes. So really good trainer-jockey combination thus far, winning races at a 30% clip this year. So it was very excited. Matthew Rispoli come down, won a couple of stakes. He won a stake with Valid. So they've been a hot team in there. And a logical choice. We got our 2nd and 3rd selections flip-flopping here. I'll go with the 9 Indie Artist in 2nd, who's cut it back to 3/4 of a mile today. After dueling for the lead and settling for 2nd, was the favorite. It was against Similar. It was going 7 furlongs. It was across town at Gulfstream Park West. I just thought this horse, off that performance, deserves a spot on the ticket.
Well, Drimmer is certainly a horse that Indie Artist is familiar with. Finished just ahead of him last time out, going 7/8, was 3rd just behind him. 2 back when going this distance of 6 furlongs. I thought Drimmer was really game in defeat last time out. Again, got into that duel, kind of re-rallied. I thought he was done and he came back. I like and look to the start 2 back. He was 2nd behind a horse named El Guar River, who just won again last week at Gulfstream.
The 0 for 23 didn't bother you?
Well, that's why he's not on top.
Okay, 0 for 23 made. He's shortening up. That's all the reasons that Katie mentioned. 6 furlongs again. Finished 3rd, as you mentioned, behind Indie Artist. I have him penciled in for another minor award this afternoon.
Can't trust him.
Every time I say that, horses that are 0 for 23 usually come back and win. Let's go to race number 4. Go back to the turf. The turf course listed as firm. And if you get a look at it in a little while, absolutely beautiful looking turf course. It's so nice and green. This one is a turf acclaimer, 3-year-old 20-year-olds and up, non-winners of 2 races in life. I want to go back and show you performance of a horse that, boy, looks pretty strong in this race, and that is Dr. J. Dub. Was the 2-horse that afternoon?
He was. This is his first time facing winners off his maiden breaking score, and I thought it was a very admirable performance. He's going to duel to the wire in this race, and he's going to hold on for third. It's a very, very close margin. You see a horse here on the outside coming up that's going to get up for a piece of this, outdoing the runners that really stayed almost the whole way. He's only beaten a neck. I think this horse has really turned into a consistent runner since switching surfaces, dropping to the claimant ranks, hasn't been off the board in his 4 turf starts, and makes absolute sense here.
Yeah, this is the horse I signaled in that early pick 5, so I'm glad we're in agreement there. This horse ridden by Tyler Gaffleone, apprentice, final week as being an apprentice, and what a session he had across town at Gulfstream Park, winning the summer meeting there, and he was just been riding in great form. So on the number 7, Dr. J. Dub for trainer Carlo Vaccareza. We both have, well, we're in total agreement here with the number 3, Abram Praso in second. This one is hoping to find a little more when making that change from the Gulfstream Park to the Gulfstream Park West after racking up a pair of 4th place finishes in his recent 5 furlong sprints. I just thought there's room for improvement here. See how he handles the change in scenery today.
And he can absolutely pick up the pieces if the pace collapses on the front end. I think he's had excuses in his last 2. He lacked room at the top of the stretch in 1, and then I think he comes out of a tougher race than it looks on paper last time.
Well, the other day, Katie said to me, "Hey, Ron, what are hippie slippers?" So I guess she thinks I was a hippie back in the day. So I said, really, I don't know what hippie slippers are. I think, I guess moccasins. We both picked hippie slippers in third.
Well, you know what? If this horse wins, I'm going to go out and find myself a pair of hippie slippers. He's making his turf debut in his first start for the David Brady barn, who's 20% on the surface switch with new additions to his shed row. The Sire City Place does very well with his grass-running progeny, 16% with turf sprinters, so I thought he absolutely deserved a shot.
Yeah, it'll be ridden today by Edgard Azaya, so a horse to have on the tickets, and we will do some research and let you know what hippie slippers are. Only thing I could think of is some kind of clogs or something like that. A 5th race this afternoon, 6 furlongs maiden claim is Phillies 2-year-olds, $16,000. Couple of jockey changes in here. On the 4, it's going to be Pedro Caro Jr., and on the 6, Marcos Menendez. And we want to go back and show you the performance that both Katie and I, of a horse that Katie and I both have on our ticket, and that is number 7, Miss Niagara, and this is back from September 19th.
It is. Now, Miss Niagara going to finish 4th in this race, but I want you to see how well she closes, because I think stretching out a little bit is really going to help her today, and she closed very well. So let's take a look at her coming on late in this race. There's quite a few horses involved. Ends up getting fanned 5 wide, and I think this was a very nice performance. Antonio Sano going to send out this daughter of Put It Back for a 4th career start today. And yes, in that race, she showed that she can rate, and I think she'll be well equipped to stretch out that additional 16th of a mile.
And changed running tactics last time, coming from off the pace. So I'm thinking this horse, so you're going to have be ridden today by Edgar Zayas, going to be up there maybe closer to the pace this afternoon. It looked like forced to change running tactics and ran very well. So number 7, Miss Niagara, on both of our tickets. You went with the number 1 horse in second, and that's Grand Chama.
From the Jose Garofalo barn, this is a Bellamy Road filly, taking a big drop in class from the maiden special weight ranks. Well beaten when stretching out over a sloppy track last time out. But I look back to her debut, I thought she ran a very solid 4th against $50,000 maiden claimers. Should improve with the more class relief that she gets. We also both used the 10, that is Ashy Poo.
Ashy Poo, that's hi Ashy Poo. This one, a New Jersey bred daughter of Wicked Ridge, will face $16,000 maidens here. Showed brief speed and faded against state bred maiden special weight competition up at Monmouth Park. The trainer is Marcus Vitale, Matthew Rispoli. We just talked about them in the last race, but you made a great point that usually Marcus Vitale's horses run second time after a race shipping down from Monmouth. But I thought this horse finds a nice spot at the $16,000 level.
Completely agree, and Matt Rispoli, like you mentioned, really riding well. He won a $500,000 stake on Saturday, taking the filly finale of the Florida Sire Stakes.
That's right, and boy, did he have a smile on his face. Number 2, Raised to Be a Warrior is my 3rd pick, hoping to get away from the gate in a timely fashion this time out after breaking slowly from the rail prior to finishing 6th in her crosstown finale at the same level and distance. So I just thought there was reason for improvement with a clean break this afternoon. 5-1 on the board, actually 3rd choice choice on the morning line. Katie, you have it 7-1, and that's what the morning line maker made it in race number 5 this afternoon. We're going back to the turf course for race number 6, and race number 6 kicks off our final pick 5 of the afternoon. We got an early one, which is new, starting today, a 50-cent wager. That one is a mandatory payout. This one is a regular high five. Just goes the way that it goes. If there's a carryover, it would go to the next day. 7.5 furlongs on the turf. Maiden claim is 3 and up. $12,500. Clean slate. 8 runners. No scratches. Jockey changes to report. I went with the number 7, Majestic Kingdom, and it looks like we got a rubber stamp here again.
We do. We're going to set you right up for that final pick 5 of the afternoon. Don't have to think about anything in that first leg. Bigo, bango, bongo. Tell us about Majestic Kingdom.
Well, this one's returning to the grass after setting the pace and finishing second. Was beaten only a length. It was against similar. That was a race moved to 7 furlongs on a sealed, sloppy track. This is a son of Majestic Warrior. It looks like the controlling speed in here on paper, and it appears to be an otherwise pretty paceless race. I think this one has a tactical speed advantage in this race.
Yes, and every time that he's been able to secure the lead, he's run well. Always has run his best races on the front end, and the race should set up for him today.
Yeah, the Little Comma is the horse that we have in second, dropping into a competitive spot, turning back just a little bit to 7.5 furlongs after tracking the pace, fading late. That was a pair of $20,000 maiden tests going a mile across town at Gulfstream Park West. I just thought if maybe if Majestic Kingdom gets a little leg weariness stretch, maybe it'll set up for somebody like number 1, Little Comma.
It looked like he was starting to make a move last time, and he just kind of flattened out a little bit. I think that kind of move is going to be more effective at this level of competition. Well spotted today.
Yeah, and as Katie mentioned, we are bingo, bango, bongoed in this race. So tell us about the 4, Starship Advocate.
Debuting in a very favorable spot today for trainer Diane Morici. Look at the work tab on this horse. Sharp half-mile move in 47-4 on September 26th. That is an excellent breeze for a horse running at this level. In summations, they're pretty versatile when it comes to surface. The only place in the pedigree that I get a little bit of concern over is the dam has never produced a turf winner from 4 other foals.
And this is where we mentioned the final pick 5 starts, so you can watch the tote action on this horse being a first-time starter and see if it's taking some money. You might want to add that one to your ticket. Then that's the beauty of a first-time starter being the first leg of one of our wagers, like the pick 5. Let's go to race number 7 this afternoon. 6 furlong maiden claimers, 2-year-olds, $16,000. Final pick 4 of the afternoon. 11 runners in the field. We both went again with, oh, look at this, we're in agreement once again with number 10, Inky Dinky Doo, and that is one name for a horse.
That is quite a name. I'd love to hear about the background on that one. But this one, cutting his tag by more than half in his second start for trainer David Fox. He's a son of JP's Gusto. Was third in his career debut on August 14th. Sat right up on the pace in second before faltering late to finish third. David Fox, 25% in the past year with at least a 50% drop in claiming price on the dirt. I think there's lots of potential for improvement here. No excuses last time. I think it just comes down to class level.
Yeah, class level, and of course, there's always a little bit of a red flag up there why the drop, immediate drop like that. So a thing you have to deal with when you put your selections together. But I think the logical choice for all the reasons Katie mentioned. Number 7, Hard Nut to Crack. A recent gelding is dropping a notch on the claiming scale. First start since finishing a distant third as the even money favorite. That was $25,000. Maidens going 5.5 furlongs, was back on August 2nd. Wesley Ward, son of High Cotton, should be effective in the spot.
I think so, and I think he's going to really like the little bit of extra distance he's going to get. He's been coming on late in his races, which is typically rare for a Wesley Ward 2-year-old. Normally they're showing speed right out of the gate, so I think this race is going to set up well for him.
Number 2, Carapano, is stretching out to 3/4 of a mile. He responded last time to a drop in competition with a pretty nice performance.
He did. Hooked up in a stretch duel, finished a clear-cut second to another Wesley Ward runner and a first-time starter named Awesome Dancer. He can continue to improve at this level.
And that was on the sealed, sloppy track, so we're going to have to do that dealing today on a fast surface. We're going to go to race number 8, and we are on the turf for race number 8. It's a 1-mile claimer, 3-year-olds and upward, non-winners of 2 races in life, $30,000 down to $25,000, the claiming level. And I'm going to start here with number 4, Highland Warrior, because this one was my best bet of the afternoon, and I'll tell you why. Dropping into this $30,000 two-lifetime claimer after following, I thought, a really nice performance, a commanding $35,000 maiden victory. Comes back, is wide in this last race. He finishes second, beaten less than 2 lengths, but he took the overland route. That was against entry-level allowance runners at this distance. Antonio Sano spots the colt where I believe he's the one to beat against non-winners of 2 lifetime competition.
Absolutely. On paper, this is the horse to beat. But like you mentioned in the last race, is a little bit of a concern. Why are they dropping this horse when he ran so well in allowance company last time out? The only other thing I noticed, which it might even be a typo, but I don't see any works from this horse since his last race in late August. So it's been over a month. Those are some red flags for me, but on paper, clearly the horse to beat.
Yeah, you always have to take that into consideration and everything like that. I just thought because of the barn itself, Antonio Sano just does a great job. They're putting this horse where you don't have a shot. But I can understand having the number 1 Arch in the Park on top of your ticket.
This one, I think the drop makes a little more sense. He broke his maiden by 2.5 lengths in a maiden special weight on August 1st. Then he didn't fare all that well against winners in a starter allowance in late August. He was giving a freshening after that. A lot of horses that he beat in his maiden, they didn't come back to do all that much. So I think he's taken an appropriate class drop today and been training very consistently.
Yeah, and that was a roughly run affair, that last one, the $12,500 state bred optional claimer. You know, there's a lot of trouble in that race, yes. So he has a room to improve in here. Number 3, who's Alfia the Falcon, who have a third, 2 for 2 in the money on the turf. 2 starts, 2 second-place finishes. Going back to the lawn today after dueling for the lead and finishing second, that was a race moved from the lawn to a one-turn mile on the sealed sloppy surface. Marcion Livero, Tyler Gaffleone handling the surface switch. I'm going off that performances on the turf before. Seems to like running on the grass. Finished second in 2 previous races. Yeah, Marcion Livero does a great job. Got Tyler Gaffleone, who, as we mentioned, just riding in great form all summer long. I thought I would throw this one on the ticket.
If there is a horse that I fear in this race, I do fear the Falcon. I think he is one that would be on my ticket if I had one more spot. Definitely watch him from that barn.
Well, let's go to race number 9 right now, and this one is a 6 furlong allowance optional claimer. Fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, $16,000. And we want to go back and show you a performance of number 4, Lucky Switch, who Katie has in second, and I have in first. I have in second. Let's go back and watch that performance.
I was so impressed by Lucky Switch. This is her maiden breaking win, her debut, won at first asking. Gonna draw off by 3.5 lengths. This is for, of course, the red-hot Ralph Nix barn, who just came off his first training title at the spring meet at Gulfstream. I remember watching this filly come out in the post-parade and in the walking ring and just saying, wow, she looked fantastic. She hasn't run since. She was given a little bit of a break, was sent back to the farm in Ocala at Goldmark, been training really forwardly there. She is the most experienced in this field, which is, of course, a knock against her, but I think that 80 buyer that she got from her debut is higher than any other buyer, any other runner in this field has ever gotten.
Yeah, no, I was a little concerned about, coming off the farm and, Ralph Nix might be giving this horse a race. I mean, it's a guess on my part. The works at Goldmark were pretty solid, but just thought I'd put it in second. But I went with a horse on top, and it's number 5, and that's Miss Away. It was 10-1 on the morning line. This one now in the Giuseppe Iacidernia barn. This is a daughter of Runaway and Hyde, who's making her local debut. She's going to add blinkers this afternoon. The first start since finishing fourth going a mile versus a competitive field of $16,000 optional claimers. It was across town at Gulfstream Park on August 28th. Recent 5 furlong bullet workout at Palm Meadows should set up perfectly for the 6 furlong distance. Over the years, I've been watching. First start, changing barns, going back to Giuseppe Iacidernia's barns. Horses have run exceptionally well, so I put this one on top. A little bit of a guess in there. I know all the money's going to go on 4 Lucky Switch, but I figured I would go with the 5. Mr. Wayne, I'm glad to see you put this horse on your ticket.
I love the addition of blinkers with this horse. She drifted out and ducked out a little bit in her last race. It certainly cost her, I think, a chance at a better placing. You definitely want to have her on the ticket. This is a very competitive race.
Well, you talk about Todd Pletcher, who's setting up perfectly for the Breeders' Cup. He's got a horse right in here, and that's the 3, Hope, Faith, Joy.
Like Lucky Switch, she's a looking at Lucky filly. She's out of a grade 2 winning mare, and she's going to return off a much longer layoff than Lucky Switch today. Hasn't run in 8 months for Pletcher, dropping out of a pair of stakes. She was an impressive maiden winner last fall at Keeneland. That day, she defeated Bird at the Wire, who would come back to win a pair of Grade 2s at Gulfstream during the championship meet. She certainly has some class, and Pletcher always excels bringing these horses back off long breaks.
Yeah, and the horse is working consistently up at Palm Beach Down, so it's not like this horse is just, coming in and you didn't see it work. It looks like it's acclimated to the South Florida conditions and working well. And, if you leave Todd Pletcher off your ticket, if you're putting a late pick 4 ticket together, shame on you. You might get burned. The last race today, 10th race, 1 mile and 1/16 on the turf. These are maiden claimers, 2-year-olds, $35,000. Some scratches in here, 4, 11, and number 14. Track announcer Pete Aiello will be here in just a couple of moments to update you on all the scratches and jockey changes you need to have a fun day in here. And number 2, by George, he did it.
I'm hoping to say that after the race, that's for sure. This is another tough race to handicap because only one runner in this field has previous turf experience, so you really have to go off of dirt form and pedigrees. This one's from the Kathleen O'Connell barn, finished second at this level in his last start, and he actually produced a career best effort that day off a stretch out to the 7/8 distance, sat just behind the pace and was a gaining second. I think he's going to like this distance. His dam was 4th in a turf sprint stake and has produced 2 turf winners.
Yeah, he's a son of Acton by Stormcat, so there's breeding to suggest that, like you mentioned, he's going to run very well in this spot. And you know what I like about it? He's been training well locally for a barn that stables here year-round,
yes.
And that's such an important angle here. Horses, this is home for them, so they're going to the turf, but been here, and it's it's home field advantage, so to say. I went with the 7 and second, Katie, who have a third, and that is Scalpine, dropping, giving the turf a try after losing his best chance. He broke in the air at the start of a $50,000 maiden test, going 6 furlongs on the main track. Line right through that race. Antonio Sano, Edgar Zayas handling the surface switch this afternoon. Hard to gauge how horse would have run. Lost it all at the start.
Absolutely. Not sure how the Colonel John side of the pedigree suits for turf, but he's out of a Mr. Greeley mare. That certainly sets up well for turf. And as a Colonel John, he is going to love the extra distance.
Like the extra distance. And then the horse, the reason I didn't have this horse in second that we're going to talk about next was the post, and that is number 13, Unspoken Quality.
Well, I think the post won't hurt him too much because he's a late striding type. He's not going to need the lead from that outside post. He can come off the pace. He came from off the pace last time to secure third, and he's hit the board in 4 of his last 5, and he's out of an El Prado mare that certainly bodes well for the grass as well.
Well, that's it. How we see the opening day at Gulfstream Park West. We told you about all those exciting wagers that we have here, and it's starting pretty soon in about 34 minutes. The early pick 5 will kick off, and it's a mandatory giveaway each day, so it's going to be a fun bet. That's the early pick 5, besides the rolling super high 5s throughout the afternoon, and the last race, Quinella. But we'll turn it over to Pete Aiello, and Katie and I will see you in just a little while.